Hey guys, today I got kind of an interesting topic. I think a lot of you guys will like this one. Remember the old song, Taking Care of Business? And it was talking about this guy and how he wakes up in the morning and all the stuff he had to go through to basically go to work. And I heard Joe Rogan talking the other day, and he was talking about quiet lives of desperation. And the song Taking Care of Business by Backman Turner Overdrive kind of reminded me of the quiet lives of desperation that many live, both in the US and throughout the world. You get up in the morning, you got to go to work, you got to work your slaving job all day, just like the guy sings in the song. And it just reminded me of what I escaped and what I left behind, and why so many people want to get up and leave. Because even when you finish working and you're at the end of your 50 years, you're old. You're getting older, but you know what? You still got some life in you. You still got some kick in you. And do you want to sit around and live in a retired home or a home for the elderly or something like that? A lot of people do. A lot of people do. It was one of the reasons why I got motivated to retire at 55. And a lot of us are in our 60s, 70s, and we still want to escape. We still want to escape that life in the United States that, it's not as good as it once was. It's different. It's changed back there. And a lot of people live in that life of desperation back there, and they're desperate to escape that. But they don't want to leave that little circle. They don't want to step outside the line, what they're used to. They're used to having, certain things in their lives, and they're not sure if they want to take a chance at grabbing the ring. And you see that ring there in front of you, and it's outside your circle. It's like, geez, I want to die for it. I want to go for it, but I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to do that. I'm afraid to jump for that. I'm afraid to go for that. And a lot of the expats, I give them credit for actually jumping outside their circle and making a decision to say, you know what? I'm going to change my life. It doesn't have to be an expat life. It could be, maybe you want to sail around the world. Maybe you want to do something different. Maybe you want to live in a place up in the mountains or something like that. Maybe that's your dream. It doesn't even have to be an expat life, but for many, a lot of people are choosing to do the expat life because, number one, your money goes a lot further over here. Number two, you can live really good over here. Number three, you can live almost any way you want here. You choose it. And a lot of people back in the States, they haven't planned. At least they can have a pretty decent life over here, on $1,500 a month. I wouldn't say go less than that. That's just me. Some people do, but $1,500 above, man, you're not going to live like a king, but you can pretty much live like a king on $2,000 to $3,000, $2,000 to $3,000 a month. You're living pretty decent over here. I live the way I want to. Some people probably would say, well, Steve, I'd rather live more upscale and have a nicer home, than you live. And that's their choice. I mean, my house, I love my house. I love the way it is. I love the area I live in here. I'm happy with it. But it's better than me being back there, sitting in a room somewhere, or sitting, in a home somewhere, married to somebody, and I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. My life seems like it's unfinished. I feel like there's something missing. It's because, you know why? It's because I haven't found that piece of me, that piece of me. And I'm not talking about girls. I'm talking about that piece in my life, the place that gives me peace, the place that gives me what I want, excitement and stuff like that. And now, it also kind of completes you when you find a girlfriend over here too. That also can help you out in your life. And a lot of guys, that's what they want. That's their dream. That is part of their dream, and that's okay too. But for me, it wasn't just about the girl over here that I met, and I was really, really lucky that I met my girlfriend Badette. It was also about the dream over here. Ever since I was a kid, I had that dream that I wanted to either live in Belize, which back then was British Honduras, and I wanted to live out on the Turnif Islands or Key Cocker or something like that. I was always looking at this map that my mom had on her coffee table. My mom had this coffee table, and it had a map on it. And I remember looking at these islands. I was always trying to find these little islands, and I was looking at the South Pacific, and I saw the Philippines, and I started seeing National Geographic and reading about British Honduras, and started seeing about Honduras and Costa Rica and these island groups down in the South Pacific and stuff like that. And it just it was fascinating to me, and reading books about Mutiny on the Bounty and stuff like that, and seeing movies about Mutiny on the Bounty, it just kind of like, man, you know, to live in the 1800s and go to these islands, man, and just, you know, find this life there and just living there during that time, it must have been great. But you know what? It's not too late. You know, here we are in 2023, and you know, we can still live on islands down here. You know, I mean, I live on the big island, but there's smaller islands, and there's a lot of islands in the Philippines that are just not lived on. Nobody lives there. And if you have a boat or something and you can go back and forth, you can live on some of these islands. You could probably even rent or buy land if you can find out who owns them or whatever. You can do that. You can fulfill your dream here. And for some people, it's just living here amongst the locals like myself, and I'm happy doing that. But at least I'm not living that quiet life of desperation. I remember getting up to work every day and going into work every day on many of my jobs and saying, man, there's got to be more to life. There's got to be something, you know, and my life turned into like this thing of, I want to retire. I want to retire. I want to retire. And anybody that knows me knows that I was always talking about my retirement all throughout my life, and I also did fun things and I fulfilled dreams during my life when I was working too. So I wasn't like living like the quiet life of desperation totally. I was living a decent, normal life, but you know, you go through things, you go through divorce, you have births of your children, or you have fun times with your family and family get-togethers. That's all wonderful things and wonderful times that I remember, you know, with my family. But there was still something missing. There was still something missing. For me, it was something that was above and beyond what most people would be thinking about. It was living here. I really wanted to come to the Philippines. I had already kind of fulfilled my dreams a little bit. I had married a Filipina before, and of course it didn't work out for one reason or another. She ended up leaving me for another guy. It happens to everybody. You know, it's one of those things, and it's kind of like a sad thing that it's one of the things that we go through in life here in our lives. It's a tough thing to go through. A lot of us, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he was telling me, he was sharing a little bit of his life with me, and it was kind of interesting what he was saying. He was talking about how when he became sober, he didn't want to have any really regrets, you know, like he had less regrets, you know, because he was moving through his life happier, sober. And he was talking to me, so he's been kind of opening his heart to me a lot, and it's kind of interesting about this guy because he come over to the Philippines. He kind of lived the same thing that he's kind of wanted to do, the same thing that I wanted to do. Come over here, meet somebody. That was my first time coming over here, meet somebody. But the second time, it also worked out the same way. I met somebody, I fell in love, you know, and he did the same thing. And he says, he was also talking about like the soul ties that we've talked about. He was talking about like this was actually his first soul tie. It was kind of interesting because, you know, he was married before, I guess, and this was actually his first soul tie, somebody that he really connected with. I mean, we've all kind of, I think that's the difference between falling in love or falling in lust or whatever with a woman. When you meet a woman, you know, and she just like, you know, she's beautiful and stuff like that. We kind of like, oh man, I got to get a ring on this girl's finger. Some guys are like that, you know. It's like, or I want to be with this girl for the rest of my life or whatever. Look at her, she's beautiful. She's gonna complete me. But she's not your soul tie sometimes, you know. She just doesn't fit that soul tie. But we ended up getting married because we figure it'll work into that. You know, we'll have kids, we'll have a family. It'll all work out. It'll all be great, you know. And then you end up divorced or whatever because you don't have that connection that binds you and holds you together. And remember, when we were talking about soul ties, not all soul ties are good ties because the person might be a scammer, a narcissist, or something like that. But something about them attracts you. It might be things that are negative because, you know, it's all psychology, you know, like what you have needs. Maybe that person meets your needs, but that person's a very negative person or something like that. But I notice a lot of people over here, and it's not all, but I notice a lot more guys over here are happier over here with the girls that they meet over here and the lifestyle that they have over here. Even if they go through some crap or they get a divorce or something like that, I notice that they're more resilient. You know, they're more resilient about everything. They're more lively. They got more life in them. They don't let things drag them down as much over here because you know what? It's sunny every day. Not every day, but I mean it's sunny a lot. It's a different lifestyle. You get up when you want. You go out and do things with your friends. There's a certain, I don't know what you call it, vibrancy. I don't know if that's a word, vibrancy about it's very vibrant here. It's a different type of lifestyle. It's a happier lifestyle. And that's one of the things that really makes me fire on all cylinders. My soul tie is to the Philippines and to the Filipino people here. I have a soul tie to the Filipino people. As funky as that may sound, I have a soul tie to them. It really makes me fire on all cylinders being here in the Philippines because this is where I belong. This is my life. And I notice a lot of guys here, they also have that soul tie. Soul tie I don't think it always has to be to a relationship to a person. I think it could be to a place too. You know, like I said, we talked about that the other day, but like I have like a soul tie here. I feel connected here. I feel like this is what makes me fire on all my cylinders here. You know, it really does. I'm not saying I'm not without my issues here. We all have issues. We all go through all that crap. You know, we all do. But anyway, guys, I hope this kind of gets you guys going about coming over here, you know, about thinking about it, because that quiet life of desperation back there, you know, it doesn't have to be. You need to step outside your circle and go jump for that ring outside the circle and say, I'm going to grab that ring and I'm going to make my life start firing on all cylinders. It's going to happen. And if you don't do it, when you get old and you're on your deathbed and you're dying, you're saying, man, I wish I did that. You're going to say it. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We got a couple of really good shows coming up here soon. I got some really, really good ideas. I like to go off the beaten path a little bit because I think a lot of people are covering all the other stuff. I've covered a lot of my stuff in my past videos. And if you guys need any information, go back to my older videos because there's a lot of good stuff back there for expats that are coming into the Philippines. We were also just featured also in the Singapore Straits Times newspaper. We're also featured on there. I want to thank Mara for doing the reporting on that. She did a great job on that. There's a lot of pictures of our group on there and everything. So it's really, really great that that Mara did that on us. You know, and I was really thankful that she did that piece on us. But if you get a chance, guys, if you're a subscriber to the the Singapore Straits Times, you can go on there and you can check that out. Or you can go on to my Facebook if you want. You can look me up on Facebook under Steven Johnson. I'm on there. You can see it. I posted the whole thing on there. God bless, guys. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show.